Joining us now from the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities is a certified prevention specialist and certified peer recovery mentor, Angela Spino-Bogota, who is also a person in long-term recovery and has lived experiences with many of the forms of counseling and assistance provided by the Alliance of Coalition for Healthy Communities. We're also joined by their community relations manager and another peer recovery coach, Tracy Chirikas, back with us on the MegaCast. Ladies, thank you for being with us again today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate having
you. Thank you so much, Tyler.
Yeah, appreciate having both of you on. So, Angela, for you, being that you are in long-term recovery from substance misuse, how can someone who is in recovery help people who are also in recovery at any stage cope with the steps that they need to be taking in order to prevent further substance misuse and address the issues that they are having with substance use?
So are we speaking specifically like around the holidays, or are we talking about just in general?
I'd say just in general, but the holidays certainly a part of that.
Sure. So I believe that, reaching out for help is crucial, and specifically towards, could you ask the question one more time? I'm sorry, I had it written down as something else.
Sure, yeah. So how can people that are in recovery help others that are in recovery cope with the process that they're going through? Because for everyone, that experience is going to be different, and it's also, I would imagine, it's a very different situation when you're getting that consultation from someone who has also been through, in some ways and others, a similar process to what you're going through.
Absolutely. Well, I think, the thing about having a substance use disorder is it can be very isolating. They always say, like, addiction is isolation and recovery is connection. So one of the most comforting things you can hear is that somebody has been through a similar experience. And so reaching out to someone, sharing that you have a similar story, and then getting them connected to resources, like some of the things that the Alliance offers through peer services, like myself. One of the programs that we have is Resolve, and we help people overcome barriers to recovery using peer-to-peer relationships. And so I think that peer-to-peer connection can really be something that helps to connect people so that they don't feel so isolated and alone in their addiction.
So for someone that is battling addiction, how do the holidays factor into that? What are some of the ways that this holiday season, from the holidays a few weeks ago through the end of the year and the beginning of a new year, how does that what are some of the ways in which that affects someone that is battling an addiction?
That's such a good question. So I was just talking about this yesterday with a family member, and I think that it really depends on how far along that you've been in your recovery. Year one can look so different than year 5. And so at the beginning, I think it's really important to set some realistic expectations about what holidays actually look like. For me in the beginning, I kind of romanticized about what the holidays look like, and the reality of what they look like were actually pretty different. So I think it's important to take an inventory. Where are you actually at with your recovery? Are you comfortable being around alcohol? Do you need to communicate some boundaries with people? If I'm coming to this holiday party, I need for there not to be alcohol present. And if you're not comfortable with that, communicating those boundaries clearly ahead of time, so that if people do end up drinking, you've already communicated that boundary, and there's not a lot of drama around leaving because you've already communicated that clearly. And I think that there's nothing wrong with setting new traditions either. There are lots of different things for people in recovery to feel comfortable. There are 12-step meetings that are available round the clock. There are lots of other people in recovery that would love to spend time with new people and, drink non-alcoholic eggnog and spend time doing gift exchanges or cooking dishes together. So there's a lot of options for people in recovery.
We're joined by Angela Spino-Bogota. She is a certified prevention specialist and certified peer recovery mentor with the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. We're also joined by their community relations manager and a peer recovery coach, Tracy Chirikas, back with us on the MegaCast. And so, Tracy, what are some of the programs that the Alliance has to work with people who are in recovery, but also to work with the families of people that are in recovery as well?
Thank you so much for asking that, Tyler. As Angela mentioned, we have an amazing program called Resolve, which we bring through and deliver in many different platforms. This is an amazing course, and it really does dig down deep. We also have our virtual Shatter the Stigma support group meetings, and next Monday, we will have our first live meeting back. As Angela said, connection is so critical for all of us navigating these holidays, and Monday is right before Christmas, and it's a crucial time for individuals in recovery, those who may still be struggling with substance use disorder, but the family members who need and who've been lacking that direct connection that COVID has presented, on top of this whole layer. So we have those programs as well as Renewed. And Renewed is a program that we bring forth into our middle school and high school level students to help them navigate anxiety and depression and just, feelings in general.
And so, Tracy, as we are approaching another set of holidays where friends and family are gathering together, what are some of those signs that people should be looking out for if in their friends and their family members and acquaintances in their life that may be struggling with addiction or with substance use or misuse in silence?
Well, some of the signs, and Angela, please feel free to pipe in at any time, but some of the signs you may notice is this person may be not entering into the conversation. They may be pulling out of that conversation. They may not want to come to the family festivities. They may not be showing up the way they did a couple months ago. Pay attention to their overall hygiene. How is this person showing up to the event? But on the other hand, from the family perspective, we need to manage our own expectations in the surroundings of this as well, and not make this big, huge fanfare and, hoopla event. It's really about that individual, but it's also about supporting that individual coming back into that family dynamic in a safe, trusted way.
And so then, Angela, you had something to say.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the key things to look for too, maybe like weight gain, weight loss, pinpoint pupils. Obviously some drugs have a particular smell to them. If it's your home that the person's living in, paraphernalia, you can find out what those things look like online. And Tracy, you had mentioned something about having those expectations, I think. And I think you made a good point with that because it's so funny. I was just thinking about the first year in Black Friday shopping with my family. I really enjoy that tradition and I do it now, but my first year in recovery, being around that amount of people was just so stressful. I just couldn't imagine putting myself in that position. And so for the first couple of years, I really had to communicate that to my mom and my sister. I just don't feel comfortable going. And so, I'm able to do it now, but just explaining to people that these traditions that we used to do, we might not be able to do them this year, but maybe next year, and so those sorts of things, Tracy, I think you made a great point. So.
And so then, Angela, continuing on the topic of noticing those signs, the next step would then be addressing those signs with your loved one, with your friend, with your coworker, whoever it may be. As someone with the lived experience of being in long-term recovery, of going through the steps of coping with addiction, what would you suggest are the best ways for someone to go about addressing that issue directly with their loved one this season?
So I think transparency and honesty are super important. I often think that people get this message of tough love, and I just don't like that terminology. I think it's important to set boundaries with people, but I do also think it's important to communicate things with love. So I think when you approach somebody to let them know that you've noticed these changes, I think that it's important to let them know, I've noticed these changes and I'm coming to you with this because I care about you and I love you and I'm willing to help. And so when you approach someone, addiction, substance use disorder, it's one of those things that unfortunately, this disorder has been something that has been criminalized. It's been something that has been stigmatized. And so people unfortunately go into a lot of denial about it. So letting them know, this is a health condition. It's something that I want to do to help you. And we're here for you no matter what. So that's how I suggest approaching someone.
Tracy,
and also,
please continue.
Also remember that when we're approaching that person, when they choose to share with us, they're taking the bravest, most courageous step ever to bring forth that. Because as Angela said, this is so stigmatized and it is so shame. It is so ridden with shame that when that individual does confide in you, please keep very calm. Don't overreact and just really embrace with a loving environment.
And so, Tracy, substance use issues, addiction, it's just one of the many different forms of mental health issues or mental health related issues that can come to the forefront during stressful times such as the holidays. For those that may be suffering with mental health concerns, mental health issues, what are some of the resources that they can tap into from the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities or other places in the community to seek help or seek guidance that they may be needing?
So one of the greatest resources that all of Oakland County has access to is a sober support unit, and that is located at 1200 North Telegraph Road in the Crisis and Resource Center. And they can do an assessment on an individual for both, mental health concerns as well as substance use disorder concerns. But also in the RISE Center, which is located in that same building, are just a plethora of resources available to the family as well as the individual. We highly encourage you to, research those and access them. We also have a resource guide. If anybody is interested in that, we'd be more than happy to mail one out. Just go to info@achcmi.org and we will mail that information out to you.
We're joined by Tracy Chirikas, the Community Relations Manager and a peer recovery coach at the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, as well as Angela Spino-Bogota, a certified prevention specialist and certified peer recovery mentor with the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities as well. Just another couple minutes with both of you. Before we let you go, let's start with you, Tracy. Any lasting words of advice or other information that we haven't spoken about today that would be important for our audience to know or to consider at this time as we head into the holidays?
As we head into the holidays, Tyler, it's really important that all family members and individuals throughout our county be educated and trained on Narcan. You have access to our virtual Narcan training. One will occur tomorrow afternoon at noon and one next Tuesday night. I cannot emphasize this enough, that we all should be carrying Narcan, and especially now during the holidays. To access that registration data, please go to achcmi.org under events and click the online Narcan training.
And then
Thanks, Tyler.
Sure. I would just say that holidays can be a lonely time for some individuals that are suffering with substance use disorder or people who are in the beginning of their recovery. And so I just want to let anyone who might be listening know that you are not alone. Please, if you need any sort of resources, Tracy gave that resource information at achcmi.org. And I would encourage you to have a plan for the holidays. Reach out to your local support groups and even seek like myself, professional help when things get hard. So thank you so much.
We appreciate having both of you on. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. Have a great holiday.